Hey, Podnutzians. Welcome to the Mini PC Show, episode 128. This show is brought to you by all of our Patreon supporters. We are ad-free on purpose, no accident there. This week's episode is brought to you by Mark Darthorn. And I say this week's episode because our goal really is to put out a show once a week. In short, work has been insane for me. After 25 years of working there, now all of a sudden it's absolutely insane. The home life is just busier than ever, but it should be settling back down. Thankfully, again, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Brett and Rich. How is everything going this week, Rich?
Oh, yes, me first. Okay, tragic. We got the wins and we got some losses. Another hard drive bit the dust.
Well, I mean, hard drive failures are inevitable. The question isn't if they fail or when they fail. The question is how prepared are you when they do fail, and how quickly can you get stuff back up? It's one of those things. Until it happens to you, you really don't seem to pay much attention.
Yeah, and I wasn't running SmartMon tools either. I don't know if that would have helped me out. Maybe it would have. So I'm gonna go over SmartMon stuff. The only thing that was valuable to me on that drive was the my vSphere instance. I just got to upload, I got to install new vSphere.
Gotcha.
So not that big. Oh, but the win. Well, it's a loss. I was trying to build a cube set. It came out a cylinder set.
Oh Lord. Okay.
But I think I had a better idea for how to make this, and this is my alpha prototype.
Gotcha. How is everything going on your side, Brett?
Doing pretty good. Been working on some home automation stuff. Had a video debut, I guess you could say, of some of the stuff I've done for a company. Turned out really good. They seem to really like it. It's relatively simple for now, but I plan on doing a lot more with them.
Gotcha. And I said this to Brett pre-show, and I really do think it's one of those utter truths. There's, facts, there's truths and beliefs. They're three completely different things. Okay. I think this is a truth. Every single second that passes, more normal, more straights, more people that don't know how technology even works are going to expect a level of automation around them. Whether it is on your phone, turning off your smoker in the backyard, or doing automation in your RV type vehicle. So that's a benefit for him and for his use case and for his business thing of doing all this automation. But two, there's no doubt, because of the technologies that are out there, it's open-ended to where, open to all kinds of change. We are literally at the precipice of automation becoming a normal thing for everyone. And I'm sure every single week, every single month, you're going to get updates and upgrades that are going to allow you to do more things even easier.
Yeah, definitely. The ESP or Espressive company, they just keep coming out with more, extremely inexpensive chips that they can do just more and more. In fact, there's a new one as of a couple of weeks ago that it can do USB host. So it can actually make anything a Bluetooth HID.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's and it has a battery built into it. So, it has a plug for a battery, so you could literally plug any keyboard into it and make it a Bluetooth keyboard.
Very nice. Yeah, and
that's cool.
If you notice, everyone's talking about chip shortage. Yet ESP people just rocking it. Why? Because there is no chip shortage. That's the whole thing. There's like a malfeasance in wanting to produce chips because the chip manufacturers want to move on to new generations. The suppliers want to keep with the old generations kind of thing. So they're literally like fist fighting. And then you have people like Tesla who are ramping up orders exponentially. I'm sure Chromebook manufacturers are ramping up orders exponentially. but they're ordering old stuff. So it's a question of who's going to break first. Now, I did hear NVIDIA is supposedly spinning up old hardware to literally start making 2 to 3 year old video cards again, but at the same retail price because people will buy it because there's a shortage everywhere.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
It is, but look, we're going to be fine in air quotes. The people who want in air quotes, $3,000 computers or $90,000 cars, they're going to keep getting their stuff because, they're paying the price for it. People like me, we're just going to have to take our 7-year-old newest laptop and make it last for another year or two.
Yeah. Personally, I like building things out of older hardware. Except for some of the Pi stuff. It's really fun. That getting a price increase was not fun.
Yeah, not at all.
But that did turn me on to the o-droid N2 Plus, which is a hexa-core, 4 USB 4, 4 gigs of RAM, and just a beast for like $89 at Ameridroid.
So it's like Pi 4 cost. Or actually a little less than
it's
Pi
less.
4.
Yeah.
Pi 4 4 gig cost, a little less than a Pi 4 4 gig. Because a Pi 4 4 gig is now going for what a Pi 4 8 gig went for.
Yeah. Yeah, so and it's a much better system. A real-time clock, it can do has a built-in heatsink. It can do
4 USB 3 ports.
4 USB 3 ports, full HDMI, 4K, I think.
Well, one has one HDMI port. I'm not going to knock it for that because that's I use most single board computers I have. In fact, all of them are headless.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I don't any day of the week. I don't care what the form factor of my hardware is. I don't care what the processor is. I will always say, give me one full-size HDMI port versus 2 of any other size HDMI port, just because of the convenience factor.
I agree.
Yeah, that's so I've got like one of my monitors over here. I've got a 3-way connector on it. So I have a regular HDMI, a mini HDMI, and a micro HDMI, depending on what I'm plugging into it at the moment.
Yeah, and it's not fun having to find the mini HDMI and the micro HDMI cable adapters or, whatever you want, Yeah,
I still feel, to be honest, that was the second stupidest decision Ebb and the Raspberry Pi people made in the last 2 years was to get away from full HDMI and use mini.
Yeah, well, all right, so the Pi Zero has a mini and the Pi 4 has 2 micro. But I don't know that there's actually a way to stack 2 standard HDMI connectors. But if
there is if you do a case. You could do the N2 case or the M2 case from Argon or something. It makes
it jacks into it.
Yeah.
So it's got like a daughter board.
Yeah. But that's that's the only way to do it right now, to actually have 2 full-size HDMIs.
Gotcha. A real quick question, Rich. You sent me a link to a video that you said you did not push to the public. Did you push that to the public?
What video was it? I don't even know at this point.
Oh, where you were talking about the mini case, the
I made it public. That's this project here I've been working on, and the video. So I show a stack. I don't have it handy that I can reach it and hold it up, but my idea is I'm building a Mac Pro trash can, like whatever case, for 4 Raspberry Pis and a 5-port switch. The one issue is the 5-port switch that I'm using in here is no longer available. There might be another one that'll fit, but I was wondering, I kind of priced all of this stuff out, so like my cost on it, and that's not my time, so it would be more. It was like $650. So if I delivered like 4 Raspberry Pis at 4 gigs of RAM, a switch. I knocked to a fan, not this fan. This is just a test dummy. Power management. So basically, there would be just, I put the other parts away. So it'd just be one Ethernet cable going in, one power cable going in. My cost alone would be in the $650 range. So the question is, how much money do you have to make on that? And let's just say $200 is the right amount of money. Between printing costs, something like this, I might see if I can make a mold in injection mold stuff, because that might be cheaper as far as time-wise than 3D printing it. Like, I could set up a print farm, but it might be quicker to make injection molds and actually do home injection molding of stuff. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. What were your thoughts, Brett? Did you take a look at the video?
Yeah, I did. There's a lot of stuff being done with the Pi,
the compute board.
The compute board. I think if you could figure out how to put a bunch of compute boards together like
that's a big deal. Yeah, I don't know the schematic on that stuff. I'd have to take a look at it.
Yeah, it's not easy, but.
And so there's I'm not sure if these cluster boards for compute modules, the compute module has to go on a carrier board and then plug into it. I think that's how it goes. I'm not real sure.
Yep.
Usually, yeah, but there is one that I was able to look at that had, I think it was one compute module, and it put in like 20 PCIe slots. It was some ridiculous thing, but then there's the other ones that basically turn a compute module into a carrier board.
Yeah, into like a Pi.
Yeah.
Like something like
that plugs it, yeah.
Yeah, it has the regular Pi ports. I've seen that also. Because right now, the only place, I think an 80 gig compute module, 8 gigabyte of RAM compute module is like $90 or less, and they're available.
Yeah.
Whereas the Pi 4s with 8 gigs are like 115 or more, and are almost not available anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's not an easy thing to do, especially right now. I would look at the Rasda, what the Rasda Zero is. That's been it's the Pi Zero form factor, but it's a beast, and I have one,
right.
And I have the 4 gig, and then I have 32 gigs of eMMC on it.
Oh, okay.
And then
4 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs?
4 gigs of RAM, and 32 gigs of eMMC, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and then quad core.
How much is that going for?
I think it was like 45 or 55.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's super reasonable.
But Ameridroid, I'm pretty sure, is out of them right now. But they get them in every once in a while.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's
like Pi Zero. It does't have an Ethernet port on it.
Yeah, that's the only thing but it has USB 3, USB-C power, and so you could actually connect them through the USB-C.
Right now on Ameridroid, it does look like they are, they're expecting the next batch late December 21, so basically days from now.
A couple of weeks.
4 gig of RAM, 32 gig eMMC, $55.95.
55, yeah, that's what I paid for it.
Where there is right now a savings where it's normally $60.
All right, so the cool part about that is you don't have to get a micro SD card for it. It has the eMMC on board.
Yeah,
so
unfortunately, it is built into it, so it's a weird way of booting it. You have to you hold the little button, computer, hope it boots up right, and then It's not bad, but it can be a little interesting.
So what OS are you running on that?
I have Lineage. Lineage
I'm not
Android on
familiar
it.
with Lineage.
Lineage is the it's the old Cyanogen mod.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically Android the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I will say,
of course, I'm a big Diet Pie fan. Sorry,
Well,
Dora, I cut
yeah.
you off twice
No.
already.
absolutely agree. So here's the thing: in form factors where you can use a Raspberry Pi Zero, you can use a Radaxa Zero and literally like swap it in place. Form factor wise, it's the same size. Port wise, slightly different. And you can use SD cards on it as well, which is a big plus.
Yeah.
And the same is also true if you want to use a Raspberry Pi for compute module. You can use a Radaxa CM3, which is a swap in place, exact same form factor as the compute module. And again,
That thing is awesome.
more power, more functionality, more I/O, more RAM, more everything, because that's the thing. Now, what I'm hoping is, hypothetically, Rich, because me and you looked at it, and it was like everything involving compute modules was more money, and then more money. So maybe, hypothetically, you build a really pretty looking cluster and you're using compute modules. When it comes time to upgrade, maybe the overall price of just pulling out the compute module and putting a new compute module in might save you money in the long run, or maybe 2 upgrades later, you might actually end up saving money. There has to be a place, in my belief, where you have to start saving money with compute modules, or why in the hell would you buy a compute module?
Yeah, no, and that's kind of, that's what draws me to the compute module for something like my laptop. My remember the Next Dock. So that would be an interesting thing if I can have a just to upgrade the compute module in the laptop, and that's it. You know, I know they did that with the K4 or the Raspberry Pi K400 or whatever it is. But you know, I have a $300 laptop. It's a touchscreen, 1080p. That all I do is I plug whatever computer I want into it. You know, it can be my server, it can be my, it's just awesome. You know, it's able to actually load everything. It's able to run any HDMI and audio, and you know, like I can plug my Switch into it, no problem. Hopefully, my Stream Deck when I eventually have to break down and buy one.
Gotcha.
So, one more thing. Are we still on this topic? Because if we're ready to change.
Your call.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up Ameridroid and the Redaxa stuff. Ameridroid needs to sponsor us. I have no idea why they don't sponsor us. Okay,
Well,
so
I will say I did talk to the main guy years ago, and he insinuated there isn't enough money to sponsor anybody, but if we really did need an air quote hardware that he had, that all we had to do was let him know. And I'm like, well, we never need hardware, but if you need to get rid of some hardware, we're the people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Redaxa stuff. It's showing me the Redaxa 0. There's a Rock 3A, Rock Pi 4B+, Rock Pi 4B, Rock Pi 4 Model A.
The Rock Pi 4C is not there yet. There is a 4C if I remember right, and it is awesome. It's yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a 4C.
Okay, so the 4B Plus is 4 gigs. It looks like, can you get more than 32 gigs of RAM? It looks like 32 gigs of RAM. Look, all right, and my UI is not working right. Hey, 55.95. So used to the other. So $56, you're getting in the Raspberry Pi world what would be $80 or $90. So,
and it doesn't even exist in the 0 form factor.
Yeah.
oh wait,
not at all.
and this is 6-core. So is this big little architecture?
Are you talking about the N2 or the?
No, the Rock Pi 4 Model B Plus.
Oh yeah, big little.
So big little is for low power. It runs to lower cores. I guess the Cortex A53. For the high power, there's a quad core A72 that runs up to 2 gigahertz.
Nice.
Looks like a good deal. What? Wait a second. Hold on. Hey, Dor, did we totally kick to the curb all the work you do on preparing the spreadsheet?
No.
Okay. So where did I wait a second? Onboard eMMC. Here it is. M2 SSD. There's an M2 connector on here?
Yep.
Woo-hoo. Woo. Dude. All right, now you're getting me to want to do a cluster of these guys. So here's the thing, cluster computing, I really could go two ways. My bread and butter is a VMware. I like the idea of having an ESXi cluster running on my Raspberry Pis. I'd love it to be able to run on other ARM hardware like this. That would be fantastic. But you could do, Docker Kubernetes kind of stuff also.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I had a fail last night. I printed 2/3 of an ornament, and it fell apart. But
fun.
what I did is I Tasmotized one of these. So this is an ESP. What is it, Brett? It's a
32.
ESP
That's
32.
ESP. Actually, I think those are ESP 8266s.
82. Thanks, 8266. So I just want to say 286, and I know that's wrong. So 8266 in here. I programmed it with Tasmoto, reprogrammed it. So it's like Tuya is the generic brand name. Reprogrammed it with Tasmoto on it. I've got it running in my home automation assistant. But what I did do is on my Octoprint, which is Octopi, which is Octoprint running on a Raspberry Pi as my print server, there's a plugin for Tasmoto. So from the Octoprint UI, you can click on the screen and turn your printer on or off, and you can have it auto power off after the print is done.
Very nice.
So pretty excited about that.
That is neat. The Tuya is actually coming out with they have an integration with Home Assistant that is a native integration straight with Tuya, and they're gonna actually make a local only mode. So
dude,
basically,
if they go local only, I've heard that, and I'm like,
yeah,
dude, when
they
are you coming
haven't
out
done
with
it
that?
yet. They haven't done it yet, but they're getting close. They just redid their Home Assistant integration, and they did it completely at Home Assistant specs, but they haven't done the local only mode yet.
All right, so the folklore is that one of the reasons or the cost centers on this product is not them selling you the product, but that the product phones home and they get usage data. But I'm like, you get usage data on this thing going on and off. What the hell could that mean to you? I don't see how that's marketable. You don't know whether, because I was using it for the hot water kettle in the morning. I use it for the Christmas lights.
Well, they've also done studies, and they've wire sniffed it. Oh, they've wire sharked it, and there is none.
So
Yeah.
that's just a myth.
Yeah,
That it's
yeah.
phoning home, and
Same
there's
with
part
Wise. Same with Wise.
Yeah,
They
same
thought the
thing
same thing.
with Deep in
Can I-
Linux. Same thing with a whole bunch of stuff. It's super easy to say something's phoning home. Once you Wireshark something, then the conspiracy theorists would be like, "Ha, that's just what they want you to think. It's waiting
Right.
for this secret ping from this government, and then it's going
Yes.
to offload all
Yes.
of the data it has." No,
Yes.
it's not worth it. You got to remember, cost versus effort. Like you said, they're going to get near useless information out of it. For them to take the time into putting near useless information in it, you're going to have like 55 of these things in everybody's house in the world, and then it might be worth your effort.
Yeah. So, I gonna shift topic a little bit. Wise, if I told you how much I like Wise and how much love I have for that company, I'd probably go on for the rest of the show. So here's the sad part. Chatter on the Wire and I both got the WiseBud Pro. And a little bit longer story, ended up with 2 pairs, and with each pair, I had the same result. The playtime was about 2 hours. Where
what?
The
2
so
hours?
the WiseBuds Pro, 2 hours, and it has a noise canceling mode, which they claimed 40 dB. So technically, that would be good enough for me to go to an outdoor shooting range and not wear foamies or anything like that. Just have the Wise Buds in my ear and shoot. They lasted for 2 hours. I couldn't tell the noise canceling mode was on or off. And there's a transparency mode, which I realistically couldn't tell much of a difference between any. And I am not an Apple fanboy. But when my daughter let me try out her AirPods, I was like, holy Christmas, these are the greatest things ever.
I do hate to admit it, but the AirPods do the best noise cancellation, but the Sony the WX-1004s do the absolute best sound.
Yeah, okay. And I would say, speaking of sending home data, I'm just saying, not necessarily, but it was revealed that in the last, it was 2017, I want to say, Tim Cook, Apple, made a deal with China worth over $260 billion that Apple would be super nice and friendly to the Chinese government and super friendly to the Chinese industrial complex and make sure that they buy things from China to help support China as long as you let us sell our phones and hardware inside of your country. So if you want to talk about people sending data to places and let's just say cooperating with, you know, governments that have been known to do, you know, like human atrocities and, you know, stuff, then, yeah, maybe that's the company to focus on.
And this is something, if you spun me up on this topic, I would not stop. But we don't want to talk politics here.
Well, it's too easy, is the thing. Now, here's the thing, Rich. Some wireless earbuds can get over-the-air updates or updates from your computer. Is there any indication that Wise might be able to send updates? And I say that because I spend like $20 on my earbuds, which are QCY earbuds, which are literally show me earbuds that have been in production for like, you know, 8 years. This little thing gets me 4 hours plus, and it's actually closer to 5.5 hours of battery life. And it's nothing special.
I honestly don't know why you got such bad battery life. I usually get 4 or 5 hours out of my Wise.
Do you have noise cancellation turned on?
Always.
Damn.
It doesn't work
the noise
all that
canceling off all the time, and I would still get 2 hours. I have no idea what was going on.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, if I would get anything with 2 hours battery life, I would freak out because I can't do nothing in 2 hours.
And so let's see, are they here? Oh, here they are. So these are my MPOW jaws. I think these are like 20 or $30. And for the most part, I like them. My new phone, I got the Note 20 Ultra, and it doesn't have a jack. I'd rather be hardwired, seriously, because I don't have to worry about batteries or anything, or one falling out my ear and I can't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I right now have technically 3 pairs of earbuds. My Lenovo's, I can't find the other one, but I'm like, any day, I don't want to throw them away because I'm going to find it sooner or later. And then I had 2
Mhm.
pairs of these Xiaomi QCY Q1 earbuds, because the one set of buds, the case does not hold a charge or deliver a charge. The other case does. So I cycled the 2 back and forth so I have technically 4 earbuds, which is like, easily a whole day's worth of battery without worrying about it.
Oh, and you know what? As I have the Wise Watch, that I laugh every time I think about the Wise Watch, because it's what, 20, $30? What, it gives you
Yeah, it was super
10
cheap.
days of battery life. You know, and who cares if, I've already got my $20 out of it. So I could care less what happens to it from now on.
I miss my Pebble.
Yeah.
I had a Pebble Time, the color screen. I got 14 days battery life, and it was just awesome.
All right, so watch-wise, is this going to be the Christmas show? I would like to get a high-end Garmin watch, because those things are good for like a dozen plus days, maybe 24 days.
Yep.
And hopefully I still have a friend that can get me a discount.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but that is on my wish list when I have dough coming in, which isn't now. But I love Wise. I like their products. I have a Wise cam in the garage. I'm loving that. I also love that they're like, hey, you can use our service. I'm paying like $1 a month for their AI service to detect people. And if I want to use it direct, because I have local AI capability for security cameras, I can just do an RTSP feed. They're like, hey, here's the firmware. Do it yourself. I'm like, very cool.
That's on the version 2, right?
I don't know if I have. Yeah, I think there's a version 3 out. I think I have the version 2.
Yeah, that's only for the version 2. Yeah.
Because I think originally they were doing local AI on the camera itself.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that was a little difficult for that. But also the Wise thermostat. Oh, all right. So let me get to. I'm getting to a point. I thought it was my mistake. It was absolutely my. I thought my system was compatible with the Wise. It wasn't, and no problem. They took it back. No problem on the return. Same thing on the earbud. I got the Wise Buds Pro. I think it was like returned within 30 days. I've had them 60 days. I've more time than I should have been allowed to return them. I said, hey, I need to return these. No problem. They sent me a shipping label. Gave me full credit. The credit came through today. So definitely a good company. And I'm hoping they have a killer product. I wish them all the best in the world. What I'm saying to you is, hey, use them, try them. If it doesn't work, they've got a super good policy. Definitely give them a shot. Don't take my bad experience as a negative. I got the watch, love it, laugh all the time when I wear it. I actually got the same wristband for it that I have on my Galaxy. What is this? S3 Frontier. Got the same wristband for it. Love the watch, and love the camera. And they got a couple more products out there, so definitely check Wise.com out. WYZ.
Yeah, I have the. I actually have the downlight. I was able to get one of the. I pre-ordered that, and it's a pretty good downlight. Bluetooth with a little button that you can. It's a wireless button that you can twist to dim it, and then you can hit the button and it'll turn it on and off, and put that anywhere. It's got a little magnet on it, and it's pretty nice.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. Yeah, the way I'll describe Wise to the people out there is they're not a huge, insane company, okay? When you're not a huge company like an Amazon, like a Tesla, like a GE, the QA can only be so good on stuff. You cannot make perfect products where you can guarantee you can print 10,000 of these things and they're going to be perfectly identical. You can't when you're a company that's not huge. Number one. Number two, we all who have been involved with tech know people with what I call hard drive paralysis. You know a guy who says, I will never in my life buy a Seagate drive again, or I will never buy a Western Digital drive again, or I will never buy a Fujitsu drive again, or whatever. because they had that one bad experience. But when we hear those other people say that, we then have to realize, well, wait, I've been using Fujitsu for like 20 years and I've never had a problem, because perfection is unobtainable. Okay. Once in a while, companies will put out products that aren't exquisitely pristine. But I will say every single person I know who's had experiences with the company of Wise has had good experiences. And most of the people who buy Wise products have had very good experiences with their products. So I'm a guy who says, if you want to give them a shot, more than likely you're going to be extremely happy. Am I going to guarantee it? Nope, I'm not going to do it. Just like I'm not going to guarantee the next thing that Elon Musk shoots up off a rocket won't explode. It could.
Although I do have one camera better than the Wise. Granted, it is $39, but it is a 2K and ships with RTSP.
Cool.
It is, the Wise cameras are great, don't get me wrong. But
does this camera have night vision also?
Yeah, night vision, everything. It is an EUFI, EUFY, and it's just a very good camera. But it is an indoor only, supposedly. Although mine's been outdoor for about 6 months now, and rain, shine, it's been no problems.
Outdoor, not in direct rain, because I'm like, ooh, would that fit under the eaves? Would that be good?
Oh yeah, no, direct rain. Actual direct rain.
Serious?
Oh yeah.
You're killing me. That's too much.
But it's a 2K camera, which is really nice. The one thing that I found out the hard way is if you steal a Wise camera, you can look at all the videos.
Ooh.
On the SD card.
Mm-hmm.
On the UFIs or whatever, they are formatted to ext4 and encrypted.
Very nice.
Cool.
So if you steal that camera, you're not seeing what's on that camera. But
that's cool.
Don't get me wrong, the Wise cameras are great.
Yeah, I don't have Wise outdoor camera. I have a Wise camera in my garage.
Yeah. Because since these send out the RTSP, they're actually what I'm going to use next on the vans to do on-site person detection inside the van. So.
And so my issue right now, and boy, Brett, maybe I need to talk to you on a sidebar. So I'm running Frigate NVR, and I have 8 hardwired camera. They're 1080p. And for some reason, the car that's been parked there for 4 days, all of a sudden I'll say, car. It's like, dude, that's the same car that's been there for 4 days, hasn't moved. And so the AI starts sending me, like if I use push bullet, all of a sudden, 3 days into it, I'm through my 500 free messages a month. I want it to say, oh, that's a car, but it's been there forever. We're cool.
Yeah. Because you have Frigate with the Google Coral, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a way you can mess with that, but I can't remember it offhand.
Yeah, I need to either that or I need to group messages. So like if I have it, I took out car detection, I'm only doing people detection. So if I walk out my front door, one camera sees me. If I walk out and immediately turn around and come back in, so we're talking like a 3 seconds of a person being, I'll get 7 messages.
Yeah, you need to put a delay. You need to put a timeout after.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, you could have a reset. Have it wait.
So there's got to be a condition on the automation that does the alert to push bullet.
Yeah. If
tried it, I must have done it wrong.
We all do them wrong.
Yeah. And it looks like possibly the price now, everything involving cameras seems to never go down in price for like the last 6 years. I don't know why. Even though, my same webcam that I'm using right now, I bought 3 years ago for $70. It's now the exact same model, no revision upgrades. It's now $80. It looks like possibly this Eufy cam went up in price to $39. It looks like possibly.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. 39. Yeah.
Which is incredibly fair, is what I'll say. Because it's really difficult to get, solid hardware where you don't have to worry about it. You just literally plug it up and forget it when it comes to cameras. Because here's the whole gimmick, real quick. People want to use Android phones as webcams. Okay. We're going to go back to like QA kind of thing. This camera in this device in any phone is never meant to be on for more than like 30 seconds to maybe 3 minutes at the most. If you have this thing on 24/7, you are going to kill the phone or kill the battery or kill something in this device very
quickly.
prematurely. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, literally, if you have like a drawer full of old Android phones and you don't care, go ahead and use them as webcams because you're going to kill them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will make sure that that link is in the notes. I did have 3, what I'm going to call obvious things to talk about because they're involving the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Because, Raspberry Pi Foundation. 2 of them are operating system related. The first one is that the Bullseye Debian OS got released. It isn't perfect, but it is new. On certain things, it is definitely more efficient, more quicker, more up to date. The good news is if you install it now, you're going to get really good long-term support. Okay. The bad news is if you install it right now, you're going to lose some native camera support that the old Debian Raspbian was good at. And on some instances, people are getting worse direct video playback if you choose to use your Pi device as a desktop. So, with that stated, they also released a new old legacy version of the operating system where if you still need that camera support for like the official Raspberry Pi camera support with the old Python type code, you need to install the old legacy version of the operating system. Or if you demand to have right now desktop-like experience running like 1080p 60 frames a second playback, then you're going to need to run the legacy system. The most boring thing in the universe to talk about is Debian Upgrades because it goes from incredibly rock solid stable to rock solid stable that will become incredibly rock solid stable kind of thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, in my humble opinion, the constant erosion of ethics and community spirit when it comes to Raspberry Pi Foundation. And I thought about this for a while. So, this isn't like I'm saying it's off the cuff. Raspberry Pi started out as the way to empower the third world, to take people in the middle of the jungle with no education, little power, little running water, and you could build them a school system using modern software infrastructure for pennies on the dollar. You could set up entire classrooms for like less than $200. Okay. That was how they started. And the hobbyists, the graybeards, picked it up and they said, well, we can do all this other stuff. We can make mini game consoles. We can make magic mirrors. We can make digital signage. We can do all this other kind of stuff. We can make portable pineapples to hack Wi-Fi. We can do all this kind of stuff. And it's all cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's fan-diddly-tastic. But then we have the Raspberry Pi Foundation making incredibly stupid decisions like 2 mini HDMI ports. Who in the hell in the third world is hooking their Raspberry Pi up to 2 monitors like that?
Especially 4K monitors.
Yeah, nobody. Okay, number one. Then they supposedly put out 5 pieces of hardware last year. No, they didn't. They put out 1. Different form factors of the same hardware. Okay, incredibly lazy is what I'm going to say. Then they put out hardware that is just lacking. You know what I mean? They don't have enough USB 3 ports compared to other devices. They don't have enough RAM versus other devices. They don't have onboard storage like other devices. They don't even have an on and off button, for God's sake. What year is this? Do I have to go out back and spin a thing to get water out of the ground or something? Okay, now with that said, they then decide to do what, in my humble opinion, is the complete Apple maneuver. The rumor is next year we're going to have an IPO for the Raspberry Pi Foundation, which cements they're in it for the money. Broadcom is behind them. It might be Ebb, it might be this British guy who has bad teeth and drinks tea, whatever. It's actually Broadcom. Raspberry Pi as a hardware foundation does not exist. It's Broadcom. Okay, they own all of the intellectual property that makes Raspberry Pi what it is. So now they're going to do an IPO, which means third world countries are not going to be able to base infrastructure off of this device anymore. Instead, you're going to have elitist, snob, hobbyists who can't remember their gardener's name creating hardware around this form factor. So they're going to now start to obfuscate community in layers to where you're going to start to see people who are literally like just out of school working at, at like a convenience store. They're not going to be able to afford to buy a Raspberry Pi thing to do their little hacker project of doing the water sensing when their stuff leaks. They're going to have to go with a Redaxa or a Pine or something else just because of cost sake. And I'm okay with that. So I'm saying now.
Yeah, I am too.
I was just gonna. You beat me to it.
Yeah, so it's 2021. Okay, humans are horrible at predicting anything.
Oh my!
Here's my prediction. By 2026, Raspberry Pi Foundation will have like 1/10 of the community support as they have now, and we're literally going to have people like Orange Pi getting support, Pine getting support, Redaxa getting support, Banana getting support, and then all of these people making these one-off Intel micro boards as well. They're going to get a wealth of support. And the good thing is, all that's going to do is lower the barrier of entry to a 16-year-old kid who stumbles across a YouTube video showing how to do some sort of mini home automation, some mini home server infrastructure, or some portable computer in your pocket kind of thing. And we as a community are not going to have to rely on the company called Broadcom to give us hardware to make us happy.
Well, you did kind of say, my point was going to be, maybe it's time for Raspberry Pi to move on. They invented a completely new ecosystem, a single board computer that actually could run 2 monitors at a desktop. Now, which is exactly, I think when the Pi 4 came out, you even said this, that this is not the heart of Africa computer. This is the graybeard behind his desk computer. And they still have Pi Zero. So the Pi Zero can be many things to many people. But
the Pi Zero 2 still has 512 megabytes of RAM, DDR2.
Yeah, they could do better on that.
They did the system in processor, I think, system in processor.
Yeah.
And it's just, they said they couldn't do it. They couldn't do more than 512, but then do 2. Do one with the system in processor and do one with it's just not a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I really wish they had a Pi Zero with the spec of a Pi 4. A Pi 4 like 1 gig, 2 gigs of RAM, something like that. That would be perfect.
Well, look at the Radza, whatever it is. I mean, that's the exact thing that you're looking at.
Well, and to me, the biggest difference in the two are Raspberry Pi Foundation is obviously now profit driven.
Yeah.
Redaxa wants to become popular. So they're going to they're going to shave some of the profit off. They don't have to worry about physical stores. They don't have to worry about paying people to do blog posts. They don't have to worry about sending out free units to make sure people on YouTube give them positive reviews. They don't have to worry about all this kind of stuff. They just have to worry about making people happy. And that's the truth. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm probably still going to buy the next Raspberry Pi. But again, they're too stupid to put out a Raspberry Pi on March the 14th. I mean,
Yeah.
I know in some ways they're idiots, but can they be that stupid to not understand Pi Day and Raspberry Pi and put out a Raspberry Pi 5 on that date? I mean, you know.
Hey, maybe you'll get one this year.
I don't know, but here's the thing. Like, I have my Raspberry Pi 3 right here running a Pi hole. I have my Raspberry Pi 3 in the garage running my Octopi server. I have my Raspberry Pi 4 with my Ice Tower cooler running the Mumble server during the show kind of thing. I'll probably still buy another Raspberry Pi.
I got a drawer full of Raspberry Pi Zeros, and so I've got a Pi Zero running. Oh, sorry, you just said it. Pi hole.
Yeah.
I've got a Pi Zero running Asterisk, and I've got a couple other Pi Zero things I want to do, but that's what I got going on right now.
Right.
That's what I got. This is my the o-droid N2 Plus. It's a beast.
Right. So, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to buy another Raspberry Pi, but I'm not sure if the device after that is going to be a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And it's like, you know, and I'll say this. Not only did they invent this single board computer system on a chip, mini PC concept, they reinvented it, because we did have like shoebox computers and smaller computers, but
we also had PIC microcontrollers, basic stamps beforehand, those types of things.
Right, true. And I do think that their form factor helped enable microsatellites, CubeSats.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe their technology went into making all that kind of stuff successful.
And Singapore missiles.
And Singapore missiles. So, but at the same token, Creative Labs created the first portable MP3 player.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
The Diamond Rio. You don't hear people talk about that.
No, everybody thinks the first portable music player is the iPod.
No, I had an M-Robe. That was Sony's one before, that was Sony's one before, yeah.
Right, and it's like this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Raspberry Pi Foundation is going away. We still have record players. Okay.
Records are coming back for some reason, which is not a bad thing.
Last year they sold
USB
more
record players, yeah.
Last year they sold more records than they did CDs for the first time since like 2002 or something like that. But you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, we still have FM radio, we still have AM radio, we still have typewriters. They all still exist. Technology almost never completely vanishes or goes away, or companies even go away. I mean, look at IBM. They're still around, for God's sake. But I do think that their importance in the community ecosystem will just continue to degrade and erode away, because of doing things like making an IPO. That just screams we're in it for the money. I can picture Eb just sitting at the strip club, just throwing hundreds because he's making money off of all of us. Where you have people like Pine, like really trying to innovate, really trying to get community support, really trying to get people involved, really trying to make things that really change areas. And you have Redaxa, challenging.
Pine and Wise are two companies I think, I could be completely wrong, but I think are really good companies. And that they're trying their darndest to deliver a product that's. I'm waiting for the next cool Pine board. That's what I've got my eye out for.
Yeah, and the next one, the Quartz, started to ship strictly in air quotes for developers only. And that's one thing I do like. I like the fact that Pine makes it very clear when stuff is seriously only for developers, or is it grown up to be a hobbyist kind of thing as well. We have other companies who are really seemingly only worrying about being like commercial ready, commercial viable.
Speaking of Pine, I do have an update for my Pine Sol, which is that soldering iron. It is now clear and has a little T12 Hako tip on it.
Very nice.
And it is by far the best soldering iron I have ever had. I put I hook up an Acer laptop power brick to it, and it's a 65 watt, pulls 65 watts, solders everything that I want, and it is just super nice.
And how much is that? Because I'm going to be doing some soldering soon. I got soldering irons, you know,
25
Radio Shack
bucks.
soldering irons.
25 bucks.
That's a
killer.
steal. That's a steal.
Yeah. I would get it on Amazon for 35, because if you get it from Pine, I literally got this one, let's see, 4 months after I ordered it. And it said it was lost in the mail. But yeah, it came. But yeah.
Well, I'll say the other reason to order from Amazon, did you hear, they just had like an Amazon conference in air quotes, like 2 or 3 days ago. Did you hear the one thing that Amazon said that they're going to do?
No.
I believe it's a Swedish company. They're paying a company to build them container ships. So not only are they going to, you know, do what they do online, but now they're going to own their own container ship. So they will be, look,
They got their
Data
own
is
airplanes.
right. Oh yeah, airplanes and trucks kind of thing. Data is the new oil, and it's really hard for a lot of people to grasp that because of the amount of data they have. They know more about purchasing habits and what people are searching for than anybody. So they're going to be able to prioritize, just like right now. If you don't have Amazon Prime, your neighbor does have Amazon Prime. You both order the same thing on the same day, you'll get it in the same day. Because it's much easier to prioritize everybody to get the shipment than to prioritize these people and then under prioritize those other people, kind of thing. So now they're going to be able to not only prioritize the last leg of shipping with that, with their Riven fleet vehicles they're going to get, not only the middle tier with the planes and the tractor trailers, but now the international shipments are going to be able to prioritize. So expect like next year, like literally 65-inch TVs on Amazon for like $200.
So you mean I'll never use AliExpress again?
Well, funny you said that. A good friend of yours and a good friend of mine, who I'm not going to say his name, drives a truck around, and down by his house,
he goes by my damn house.
I know. Down by his house, to get to the Amazon warehouse, you have to turn on a road called Alibaba Way, because Alibaba bought a warehouse and insisted, if I'm moving in, you have to change the name of this road. So now to get to the Amazon facility in that town, you have to drive on Alibaba Way.
All right, hold on. Where is that Amazon? I know the Amazon warehouse, seriously, the main road that's X blocks away from my house, he goes down on a regular basis.
Well, then that's the road, yeah, where AliExpress or Alibaba literally just bought a warehouse there with the arrangement of you have to change the road name. And then just a really quick tangent, if you guys don't mind, unless you have something to say.
I actually got to go, so I'll see you guys later.
All right, man. Be safe.
But I got to reach out to you, buddy.
Take care. Definitely. Have a good night, everybody.
Take it easy. The one tangent thing I got to say is, as much as I hate everything about like companies like Microsoft or Apple or whatever, I gotta once in a while just be honest. Okay. There's no such thing as purely good or purely evil. Everything is shades of gray. And once in a while, Microsoft does things or Apple does things that are actually good for the community. Microsoft open sourced their VS Code server. If you do any text manipulation or code manipulation at all, and you don't know about VS Code, right now, if you just go to vscode.dev in your browser, hit enter, you will launch a truly web-enabled version of Visual Studio Code in your browser that has exact same functionality as what you run on your local desktop. Well, they open source that. And then very, very shortly after that, they open sourced it. People figured out how they can get it to run on their own, in air quote, platform, whether it be AWS or Cloud9 kind of thing. All the code is up on Medium and Gitpod kind of thing. Links will be in the notes. Any day now, you will be able to run this completely locally. What I'm really waiting for is the VS Codium people to take the VS Code and pull out all the Microsoft binary blobs that do all the tracking and communication back with Microsoft, and then have the VS Codium to be able to be self-hosted on your own server kind of thing. Because I do a lot of text manipulation. Half of it is in Notepad++, half of it is in VS Code. Just depends on what I have to do. I just had to mention that because I thought it was shockingly good of them to do.
There's a couple of questions. I'm finding I'm not organizing stuff as good as I should, and I'm thinking of more stuff as code. So as I do redesign stuff on CAD, generate STL files or whatever it may be, I'm like, should I be running a local GitHub repo and just checking all the crap in? So I know what version I'm on. I have a copy of it locally, all of that kind of. Plus, like we just talked about earlier in the show, I've got another dead hard drive. Oh, I threw it in the freezer.
Right.
I gotta do better on my local backup so my computers are backed up. I have at least one backup of my computers. But my Raspberry Pi or single board computing infrastructure is not backed up. And some of the stuff is too large to back up. Because I kind of do have a backup. Because I was kind of migrating. My Plex server used to be originally, I think my first Plex server was the Banana Pro M2 that you gave me.
Right.
And then I switched to the o-droid XU4, and then I switched to the o-droid N2, and now I've switched to my up squared board. And I still haven't been able to peg the reason why those ARM-based solutions stopped working as good as they used to. But I think I got to get a solution for my ARM backup. Anyhow, I got a couple of things going on. Also, let's see, what is the file system? Not EXTFS. What is the other file system people talk about?
FAT32?
No. Modern
NFS?
file system, not NFS.
Then you have the the super RAM hungry Butter FS.
No, not Butter. Like they use it for. Oh God, I can't think of the name. Anyhow, I had a VM and it had that file system on it, and to double the hard drive size, the storage size, it was like a one-line command. I just added another drive to the VM, virtual drive to the VM.
Oh,
and
like
then
JBOD or something, but
JFS.
Yeah.
So JFS was a one-liner, whereas I don't want to say KVM. What is it called where you have virtual drives? I got a mental block on it.
I know. You caught me off guard with that question.
So it's not. I got KVM mental blocking me right
Yeah,
now.
I know
It's
what you
not
mean. It's
KVM.
where you can easily allocate space and reallocate space. And
Right. So and it's what VMware bases their vvols on. So it's basically they're wrapping that open source code. And probably if I look at the YouTube chat, somebody's screaming it in the chat.
LVM,
It's LVM. Thank you.
Fizz for the
Thank
win.
you. So LVM to add another volume. So JFS was like a one-liner. LVM, it's a couple lines of code. I couldn't believe how easy it was with the JFS.
Gotcha. Yeah, just to touch a little bit on news things again. I want to say America and the UK are looking at trying to stop the NVIDIA purchase of ARM. I went back and forth on this. Part of me wants ARM to be in a company's hand that's going to be around a while. NVIDIA ain't going nowhere. NVIDIA to me has shown that they're not, I don't want to say they're not profit driven, because of course they're profit driven, but they innovate the hell out of their stuff, kind of thing. So I'm almost okay with them doing the ARM thing. And then the other thing is that the new Snapdragon, they've announced a couple new processors, new processor architecture, new processor naming convention in the works. And I can say it like this. I think the latest Apple processors and the latest Google Pixel type processor is making every ARM manufacturer stand up and notice that every time one of these things come out, it eats into our possible sales. So we need to do something. And great. Competition is what makes everybody's computing experience better. So keep at it, Apple. Innovate the M3. Be in the work for the M4 processor. Google, keep working on that Tensor processor. Make sure the Pixel 7, and maybe there's a new Pixel book coming out with another generation of these processors. Keep doing that. Keep pushing these things. Then we're going to have other companies like MediaTek who are also by leaps and bounds trying to get better. And then we have the Risk V people coming up the rear, like faster than ever, gaining ground kind of thing. I do think this coming year in processors, we're going to have another near exponential jump in what to expect. AKA, we'll be able to run more desktop-like things even easier on ARM devices. I'm not going to say we're going to get that magical desktop-like experience running a lower-end ARM board, but we will be getting really, really close to it, I believe.
Can I pull in, let's hit line 38 before, I don't know if you're ready to wrap, but...
Sounds good.
So, Jeff Greeling, I hate that guy because he does everything I want to do better. So
he does lots of stuff, man. And I like his channel because A, you never know what you're going to see next. But B, when he decides to go on out, he really goes all out.
Okay. All right. One of the things that I'm a little shocked at, I've never looked at his channel. Not meaning I don't watch his videos, but when his videos pop into my queue, I watch them. I went to his channel and I'm like, holy cow, he's got all of this other content. So one word to you folks, if you watch somebody's content and enjoy it, go to their channel and look around because you might be shocked to find out what else is out there. So that being said, he did a video on the Turing Pi 2, and I don't think they talked about the price. I think when he did the video, the price wasn't available. They're talking January 2022 for a cost about $200. Now, I'm assuming that's the bare board. And if it is the bare board, that's still a good deal. Because the Pi modules, so if you get the Pi compute modules, I think they're like the 8 gig versions are $90 a piece. And if that means you're going to have, let's just call it $100 because I'm stupid, a $600 cluster compared to me ad hocing it here, that $600 cluster is a bargain. And even if you still got to buy an ATX case and power supply, it's still a bargain.
I absolutely agree. The question is, at what price point do you think we're going to hit when I could literally build an ARM system? Not going to say cluster, not going to say single processor, whatever, just an ARM system that I can put on my desk. And as far as me using it, it's nearly indistinguishable from either a, $300 computer, $800 computer, or a $1,200 computer. I keep thinking we're going to get the high-end stuff to replicate x86 desktop-like things before we get the lower-end price things fixing it. Only because we're having like this bifurcation of processors important, but video is becoming ever more important. GUI video processors and ARM now I like processors on the side. I believe we're going to have like a $700 to $900 ARM ecosystem that will literally be able to do, 4 monitors, 8K, 120 frames a second before the end of 2022, maybe 2023.
So I've kind of been pondering that today with Apple in the M1 chip. And will there be, because like I've built a number of Hackintoshes, so generic x86 hardware with, running the Mac OS on it, with some changes. So there's ways of doing it. Is it Tony Mac? Actually, I used to look at his website regularly. I haven't been to Tony Mac in a while. I'm wondering if there's going to be a Mac OS that'll run on a Raspberry Pi, because their M1 chip is basically ARM based.
It is, but I mean, here's where the problem with ARM is. The Raspberry Pi has closed sourced GUI. Okay. The graphics processor is completely closed source, where they also stuck the BIOS in that same place as well, which is weird, which is why we still don't have official Android for Raspberry Pi, because the video is that important when it comes to this. People do have Harmony OS running on it, but that's a different story. Same thing, I think, when it comes to the Mac ecosystem. I believe the most proprietary part of their chip is the graphics engine. And I say that because the heat that has been coming out of the M1 chips is not even close to insane, yet the graphics performance is nearly insane. So it's like, I think it's going to be really difficult for people to backwards engineer the graphics processor to run on something else besides the M1 chip.
Right.
And I think it's going to be cost inefficient. You're going to have really powerful hardware to emulate it.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right on that for a while.
Yeah, but it is one of those things. It's only a matter of time.
I think it will be a matter of time where somebody comes up with a ARM processor that does most of and will be easily convertible to make a ARM Hackintosh in the future.
I agree. Very cool. It looks like we've been going for just about an hour, Rich. In the notes, there were a couple other things I'll say that I think were interesting. In the same way, like how I used to think a VCR, DVD, TV combo was interesting. But, in hindsight, who the hell would buy that? What's wrong with you? Novo is looking at making what they call a ThinkPad Plus, line 29 in the notes. And this caught my eye. If I was a creative type, I would seriously think about looking at this device. It's a large Lenovo laptop with built-in, it's a 17-inch, built into the side of the keyboard is basically a second screen that's also a drawing tablet. I thought that was at least interesting.
And you'd have to be creative and right-handed.
Well, I'm right-handed, so I guess I got that going for me. But I know I can't, I honestly think, hypothetically, if I got like the right, in air quote, medication, I didn't listen to, 30 hours of podcast a day, and I would sit in a corner. I could probably maybe draw something pretty, but it would take a little bit of time. I just thought this was interesting. I like seeing companies try different things. Lenovo is one of those companies that I do feel like is at least trying different hardware form factors. And with all that said, in hindsight, I think they won't even make a second or third version of this laptop because I don't think it's going to sell at all.
I think it's cool. Like you said, who was the one that had like the gaming laptop with fold-out screens and then it got stolen and stuff like that?
I want to say it was the Asus Rock or something like that.
Asus? Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think it's cool. Chatter on the Wire. All right, I got to call him out. I definitely want him as a neighbor if I get to pick neighbors sometime. So it's when we're in the what is it? The metaverse. I can pick.
Right.
I'm not doing that. It's not going to happen.
Well, I want
But
Fizz as
I
my
would
neighbor.
pick. Okay.
And Red. Yeah, I'm not doing the meta anyway. It's not worth it. Kind of thing. Okay. There was, I want to say, well,
wait, one more thing before we go off Lenovo is if you don't watch Louis Rossmann, definitely check him out. Louis Rossmann is one of the guys. He's in New York City. Of course, I've got a love for people from New York that talk like Louis Rossmann. Louis does chip level repair on Macintoshes, and Macintosh is strangling the supply of parts, repair parts. All right, so I was at what is the word? The something bar. I'm waiting for somebody to say
Genius.
it. Yes, and the guy across the table from me had a newer M1 Mac or whatever, dropped it a specific certain way, and the cable came off something and it didn't work. And he was happy. He said, I'm listening to this like in the best Picard facepalm ever. They opened the case with, I guess, the pentalobe screwdriver that, you have to special order from somewhere. I got one now. Charged him $700 to reattach the cable. And he said he was okay with that because he made a lot of money on the Apple stock he bought.
Some people have
Louis
much money.
Rossmann in New York City, I've seen the videos. Somebody comes in with that. He opens it up, snaps the cable on, tells him to leave and have a nice day. Or if the pin is bent, he'll unplug it, bend the pin right, put it back in, say, hey, look, it'll work. I'm not going to guarantee this. I'm doing this for you for free. If you want, come back when it breaks for real, and I will replace that connector. It may work. I'm not guaranteeing it. And he says now Louis has moved locations, and he says he's going out of business because of location. So he's got issues with that. But he said all of the repairs he's done for free have always been like the best either PR or the people remember and come back to him because they want him to service their Macs or their products in the future.
Yeah, I mean, generosity is the best way to spread word of mouth, and there is no advertising or marketing campaign that can ever even remotely come close to touching the effectiveness of word of mouth.
Yeah, and Louis has a killer YouTube channel. I'm hoping he's making killer revenue on that.
Not many people are making killer revenue on YouTube, so I hope he is.
Some people are, not me.
Well, they're also burning themselves out to where, they're on the verge of suicide because, you can't slow down, you can't stop.
Well, in the YouTube world, we call it feeding the monster. You got to keep feeding the monster content.
That's, I think, what we call heroin addicts.
Yes.
Something like that. Okay. I will say there was more things in the notes. The two things I was going to mention super quick off tangent is I mentioned about desktop-like operating systems on Raspberry Pis or Raspberry Pi form factor computers, and especially video playback. It seems to be that nobody is getting close to the performance of the Chromium OS build for Raspberry Pis, and I want to say it's called the FIDE OS, FYDE, which is the Chinese-based Chromium OS type thing where you can pay as a service, keep all your things in the cloud, and easily migrate from instance to instance kind of thing. And they did just add in the Chromium OS for Raspberry Pi the ability to install Linux apps via the command line and install Linux DuPuie apps and run them just like their native apps on the operating system. There is a touch of lag the first time you launch it, which is to be expected when you launch a container. That's what they're doing. But if you demand...
And that's what your Chromebook does. Like if you type SSH blah, you're launching a Linux container.
Exactly right. And so if you demand a desktop-like experience, maybe you should demand a Chrome OS-like experience on your Raspberry Pi, and you'll be happy. Very cool. Okay, Rich, I think we definitely had some good stuff today. I was really happy to see Brett between me and you. I think he looks really good.
Yeah, I was excited to see Brett too.
Yeah. Is there any place people should go to easily catch up with you?
Well, heck yeah. So flyingrich.com, which might have gotten a revamp since last time we talked. YouTube.com/flyingrich. I'm also on other video services under Flying Rich, so Utreon, Gunstreamer, all sorts of places. Also on the gram, so Instagram, me and Chatter on the Wire are friends on the grams. And so Instagram, I'm FlyingRich_official.
Very cool, very cool. If you would like to support this show, it's very easy. Patreon.com/TheMiniPC Show. If you would like to send us an email, equally easy, minipc@podnutz.com. In the notes, we do have links to like Discord server and Matter. What it's called now? The Twitter like clone, what the stupid elephant stuff.
Oh, Mastodon.
Mastodon. Thank you very much. I'm getting old, is what I want to say.
You know what it is? No, they're back when we were kids. You had the dial-up phone in the corner, and you had to stand next to it. And now there's a million different ways to make a phone call.
Yeah, and some of them fade away, and some of them are spring up again.
Yes,
I will say, I'm trying. I will keep trying to keep putting out content as much as I can. Feedback and emails I'll just say, help me to try to keep doing better kind of thing. And any chance I get to hang out with someone like Brett or Rich definitely helps. So I want to thank everyone. Butchman. Thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks everyone for downloading. Thanks everyone for subscribing. Thanks everyone for the support. Thanks everyone for the continued support. And never forget,
thank you, people.
It's always good to hang around and have big talk about little machines.
Yep.
All right, guys. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Streaming live.
So we're still pushed out to YouTube's?
We are still on the YouTube. So I got to run to the bathroom.
That's cool. And thanks to this, I'll talk to the people on YouTube then.
Okay.
So
on my
the alarm is auto-arming on my house.
Idaho. He's not the only one. Actually, I want to see now there's 3 people I know.
We got Red, Fizz,
who are all in Idaho.
Chatter on the Wire. Who else? So I think John Hollinger is the only person I know in person. Yeah, so on YouTube's I'm participating in a 10 video and 10 day challenge. When did it start? Was it December 1st? Might have been December 1st. And I think my last count, no, that's not the count. I've gone post-it note crazy. Here it is. My last count, this was like 1 or 2 days ago. I didn't do a unique video today. I didn't. I did 15 videos like a day or two ago for the 10 videos in 10 days challenge. I like to do a video a day. I didn't do a video today. Now, I say that and I'm lying because I actually did 2 videos today if you count this and John Crump Live. If you guys, I know John Hollinger watches John Crump Live. We had a good one today. You might want to go back. You might see me squirming uncomfortably a little bit on that video. So John Crump Live is like Second Amendment type news, Second Amendment community type stuff. So if you enjoy that kind of content, definitely go check out John Crump Live. So we do videos, 1-hour videos, 4 days a week live from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So you guys can go check that out. I'm pimping that a little bit. I do, flyingrich.com did get a spruce up. I try to use flyingrich.com, one as a contact site. So if one of you guys want to reach out to me and contact me, you can always, Instagram is always a good way. Rich, oh God, no. Chatter on the Wire is asking about my house in New York. Boy, so I'll wait till Thor puts his headset back on. Actually, I can go. I'm going to continuous transmit mode, so I don't have to hold my stupid finger on my phone.
That's what she said.
Making sure. Keep making sure my phone screen doesn't go to sleep. So a couple of things. One, my sister has been taking care of my dad for like the last 7 years. God bless her. It hasn't been easy on her, and it's been people aging, parents aging in elder care can be a rough story. So my sister is like immunocompromised. She's got a form of leukemia.
Ooh.
And she's been trying, one, not to get COVID, two, not to get the COVID vaccine. She ended up, I think she did get the vaccine. She did get COVID, and my dad got infected. And I don't mean to blame this on her. I'm absolutely not blaming this on her, because basically 7 years ago, my sister saved my dad's life because he was going to drink himself to death.
Well, and if she's taking care of him and she gets it, it's one of those inevitabilities.
Yeah. So my sister was like, kind of with the, I could have delivered a lethal blow to dad. And I'm like, you saved his life 7 years ago. It's been borrowed time since then.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, BWE I'm sorry. I know somebody in the
Red.
firearms community, BW Firearms. So Red. All right. Red, I missed your questions. I'll have to look back. So Chatter on the Wires asked me about selling the house in New York. House in New York has not sold. It's been on the market over 90 days.
What? In this market, dude? What's wrong? There's something wrong. I'm
trying to fire my real estate agent, and she is making it incredibly hard. And if anybody wants to hear more details on that, I'm not going to on open YouTube say everything that's going on. Send me an email or message me on Instagram. As I will say, other people, I'm going to copy a friend, a YouTube friend. I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but if you buy me a beer, I'm happy to bend your ear. So, yeah. And this is stuff Door doesn't even know. And because actually, I don't even have Door's phone number.
Why would you? You have me on Voxer.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talk on Voxer. So, yeah. I need to fire my agent in New York. I figured my house in August would have went on the market for close to 600, and there would have been a bidding war, and I would have sold the house in the low sixes. Yeah. Is what I had imagined. I've ended up dropping the price from like $589 to $559, and have had 0 people come to I don't know how many open houses. So I'm trying to fire the real estate agent, and she is not making it easy.
Well,
And I'm
some
like,
question. Is it a true, in air quotes, accredited realtor? Or is it somebody, one of these fly-by-nights, well, I only charge you 1.5% kind of people?
I think she gets 6%, and there is a storefront.
Well, I know,
It
but
has a different
now
name than her name.
I'm like not a union guy, and I'll put it like this. They're not good, they're not bad. They serve a purpose. Some
Yes,
people,
I'm with you.
Some people might need a union. Some people, or the worst thing that could happen is being in a union. But when it comes
Right.
to real estate agents, there is a national union of realtors that literally
Yes.
have to adhere to certain sets of standards, or else they are in a world of hurt. And I know this because I know one real estate agent who did wrong like 45 days ago. She has now been disbarred. She cannot practice real estate again in the state of Maryland because she did not do right.
Maybe you know something I don't, but I called the national organization. They're like, no, I'm like, I'd like to make a complaint. They're like, yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Well, everything has to be local.
So, yeah, there's a bunch of avenues I'm working down. She doesn't want to walk away from this.
Well,
which
it's in a good real estate's best interest to invest everything they possibly can into getting that house sold for the most amount of money and as soon as possible, because they get a percentage. So they literally, the good ones will take an upfront loss of money and then really not want to give it away. The lazy people will not put a lot of investment in and think, well, the house is going to sell itself and I'm just going to sit here and just get a new hot tub kind of mentality. Those are the ones that I really would like to just chop right in the throat.
So this person came as a recommendation to me from a good friend, and I'm not going to say intentionally not say a whole lot because this may end up in court. She overpromised and underdelivered significantly, hence n number of open houses with 0 attendees.
That's nuts.
I desperately need to sell this house in New York, but I will not fire sale it either. A comparable house, an incredibly comparable house. When I say comparable, I mean it's across the street and down the block. Similar floor plan, similar age. My house is better. It has multi-zone AC that has window AC units. That house sold for mid-5s over the summer. Zillow now has it listed for mid-6s. So the pricing, plus I have a garage, and that house does not have an external garage. So there is no slicing and dicing and saying, hey, if I lower the house to mid-5s, it should sell for mid-5s.
Well, like you said,
money, but I'm not.
There should be a bidding war, to where you put it in the mid-5s and you end up getting high 5s.
I think Fizz has it right. I just got a bid agent, and it's one of these things. It's like, please just walk away. I will ruin your life. I told her that. I said, I will ruin your life. You need to walk away.
Guess they think you're joking, or I don't know.
That check will be cashed. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I've got another agent lined up ready. Let me put it this way. My goal is not to screw this lady. This lady has screwed me. Now, if she sells the house, you know what? If you sell the house at a decent rate, I'm happy to give you whatever commission I signed up for.
Right.
Absolutely guaranteed, 100%. That's the deal I wanted. And she wants the out is 2% till the end of June. I'm like, 2% on something I'm like, I'll give you the deal on anybody you've shown the house to. Any, if you've shown them the house, if you've given them a walkthrough, if they've been to an open, I will give you the full 6% on any of those people. But I want you out of my life, and I want another agent to take the house as though it was brand new and work the deal. So, yeah, this not good. So yeah, I got an agent. He texts me every single day. He's like, another friend of a friend. I've met this guy. This guy is a freaking barracuda. He's looked at the house. He's looked at the ad. He's explained to me what needs to be done to make the house to sell. And I'm talking about, in the marketing way, not like, hey, it needs a fresh coat of paint. It needs a new carpet. Meaning, hey, this house will sell. The price is right. You need to get me on the deal. I'm like, okay. So, Red, I don't know where your questions are. I asked you a couple of questions earlier.
Yeah, I'll say one of the popular things right now is to you technically pay them, but you don't. When it comes to the sale of your house, you then pay them back for them to, in air quotes, stage your house.
Yes.
And that's one of those things in paper, I see why. Like I would say this, my dad's house is on the market right now. He needed to pay them to stage the house because it needed it horrendously bad. And there's no doubt in my mind if whatever the house sells, it will partially be because of the staging. Because it's literally turned into like one of those, I mean, I don't want to say it's a game, but it's like, SEO. It's like all complete crap. It's all about, just getting your stuff in front of the right people kind of thing. It's a pain in the butt, man. But in this market, there is nothing that should be on the market for more than 20 days, maybe. I know the market's finally, in air quotes, starting to slow down, but in reality, with private companies, you have runway. Runway is the amount of capital you have to, withstand a down market. In the home real estate market, it's called inventory. How much inventory do you have? Which basically means when you go to buy a house, how much choice and selection do you have?
Yeah.
Right now, the inventory is at the lowest point it's ever been in the recorded history of recording the inventory. Which means any house that gets on the market, if it doesn't sell within 20 days, something's wrong, man. Something's wrong.
Yes. That's what the agent is telling me. He's like, dude, this is just bad because on Zillow, you're going to be on the bottom of the search results. You're not going to be. So there's look. The house is sentimental to me. My great grandfather built the house I own. My great grandfather built the house next door. They've been in the family ever since. Very likely, both are going to leave the family soon. I may have to rent the house. I don't want to rent because I don't want to get a tenant in there. I can't get out. And
renting is such a gamble because you never know what kind of tenant you're going to get.
No, it's never a gamble. You always get a shit tenant.
Well, no, it's possible to get good ones, but it's also possible to flip.
I've only rented a few houses, meaning me as the
side.
Me. Whoever I've rented from has had the best tenant ever. So when I was consulting, I did rent one place in Monroe, Louisiana, and I rented rooms from there on out from individuals.
Right.
And I pay my rent.
Yeah.
So it's just a pain in the arse. So house sells, crap will be good for me. Right now it isn't. So I'm between contracts right now, and Christmas is coming up, and I'm broke.
I
The
understand.
worse the broke. So, and I don't mean to. I'm in the horrific, unfortunate situation that occurred like 7 years ago. I came off. That's when I bought this house, and I came off
been
my
that
best
long?
earning.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Okay.
came off the best earning year ever, where I made a serious lot of money, and then went into a 3-year drought. So I bought more house than I could afford. I got more cars than I could afford. Or, it was on the borderline. Let me just put
Right.
it to you that way. You could always afford fill in the blank.
Right.
I've made all the payments on everything, but if I told you how much debt I had, you would lose your freaking mind.
Yeah.
So, whatever, I don't owe a whole lot on the house in New York. So if I sell the house in New York, I will be a little bit ahead, meaning I won't be, being broke would be a hell of an improvement. So I would be positive. I'd be positive enough I probably could get my airplane fixed in flying. So that, and have like a little bit of cash in the bank.
Right.
Like one really good vacation's worth of cash, or, a little bit of cushion cash. So we're not, and look, I'm at the point where I'm done with New York. I want my attachment to New York gone.
I
There's a
understand.
reason people leave New York.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I know Louis Rossman did a lot of videos on shopping for a new storefront, and I know he got a new I haven't really followed the storefront saga with Louis Rossman, but he also did. I think he was looking to buy a house in Queens, and he showed like Queens, or like the western edge of Nassau County. And so I remember one house. This was a crack house, would have been an improvement, and it was like $400,000, and pretty much the house would have just about needed people. It would have been break even as to whether you bulldoze it or renovate it, and I guess it comes down to permitting costs and what that would be. So, for instance, my house in New York, I'm in the town of Islip. If you, I'm not going to give you my address, but if you look at Google Maps on the town of Islip, the hamlet, township, whatever, the actual village of Islip, Islip Village, because Islip Town is East Islip, West Islip, blah. The village of Islip and the Islip train station, I live within a block or two of the Islip train station. So you could look at my neighborhood. I'm on a busy road. There's train tracks behind my house.
Like
It's
like Amtrak train?
Long Island Railroad.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, because I mean the train with me, it might be a 16th of a mile, maybe a quarter mile.
oh
And it's Amtrak.
yeah,
to where like 2 in the morning I hear and but that's the only time I can actually hear the train.
So I'm flavoring that for you. So ambulance, fire truck, everything goes by the house. Anything that makes noise goes by the house. So the 50 by 150 piece of property that I have in Islip that I love, and if only my ancestors built like a block or two south, it would have been killer. It isn't. That property is costing me over $9,000 a year in taxes. This property here, for an acre and a quarter, I'm on a dirt road. I'm in unincorporated Jupiter Farms. Seriously, there is no noise. Honest to God, you need to go like this to actually make sure your ears work.
Right.
There are no street lights, so if you cannot get around in the house, my monitors are still on. We have to have night lights. Like before I walk into the bedroom, my bedroom's going to be dark. I'll pick up my phone and I'll turn on the lights in the bedroom because it's that dark. even if it's a moonlit light, the windows have mirror tint on them, so it's reasonably dark here. You can't hear anything. You see frickin' Milky Way. So when I was in New York, the only time I saw the Milky Way was when I was at like 8,500 feet in my airplane flying back from Nantucket. I looked up and I'm like, oh my God. So this house, house in New York, over $9,000. This house, a little over $6,000 a year in taxes. 1.25 acre property. Other than it being a dirt road, oh my God. 3,500 square foot house, screened-in pool, hot tub. It's really 3,100 feet. It's 400 square feet of garage.
Right.
6 and change a year in taxes. I'm like, if I owned this house in New York on a postage stamp worth of property, I would not be able to afford the taxes. Forget about the house.
Right. Yeah. Well, New York, you got to remember, the New York, for instance, the New York subway system has never even came close to paying 1/10 of its bill since its inception. The entire state has to support it. Just like in the state of Maryland, just to paint the Bay Bridge, like a couple years ago, cost more than it cost to build the Bay Bridge.
Worse yet, when they, and I don't know if this is 100% true everywhere, it just seems a little crazy to me. When they build, and they did this, the Tappan Zee Bridge, they replaced with the Mario Cuomo Bridge. They built the bridge to it. So when they detonate and take down the bridge with explosives, they say it costs more than it does to build the bridge. I'm like, holy crap.
I believe it.
So, yeah, some of these things are just nuts. Red says, I heard of that town. Is that Jupiter Farms? Or... Yeah. So the flag lot behind my house, people have 2 horses. And people... So, unfortunately, I'm a corner lot. And I don't mind that, but it's dirt, which means a lot of dirt. It's on the pool deck, and I left my pressure washer in New York, so I got to go get it. Good night, John. I often joke, it's a lie, that more horses go by my house than cars, but I'm on a U-shaped road, so nobody comes down this road that doesn't belong here, other than the Amazon guy. And I was looking at the map. The Amazon warehouse, to get from like the Turnpike or I-95 to the Amazon warehouse, you have to drive like a big J past my place to get to the Amazon warehouse. John Hollinger saying my house is out in the middle of no man's land. It kind of is. It's nice.
You're in a nice nook, is what I'm going to say, because it doesn't take you long to get to supermarkets or to...
Oh, no. There's a Publix, it's probably 7 minutes away or less.
Yeah, see, but you're in a nice nook to where it is peaceful and quiet, but it's convenient.
And I'm 20 minutes from downtown West Palm Beach or downtown Palm Beach. I'm 20 minutes from the ocean. So, like right now, it's 10 miles straight line from my house to the ocean.
Right.
A little bit longer because I got to drive a right angle.
I understand. If I point in that direction, I'm like 300 yards away from. Oh God, I want to say Bush River. No. Well, here's the thing. It's technically I want to say it's Bush River, but if you travel like another 300 yards after the river, you're in the bay. Yeah.
So I call the house either FRAS Flying Rich Autonomous Zone or Hughes Compound Southern Command. The Hughes Outpost Midwest Command I used for rental places when I was consulting. So Hughes Outpost were rentals.
Was that Wisconsin?
I was in Oh God, it's funny. I saw a
Was
job
it
in that town today.
Boise?
Michigan. No, I was in Michigan.
Michigan. That's right.
3 years ago. A little
That's
over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Jackson, Michigan. So that was the Hughes Outpost Midwest Command.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's golf carts. Sometimes there's a marauding group of kids on dirt bikes and quads going by. And it's I almost said in the summer it was 85 degrees today. Yeah, Jackson, Michigan. So John Hullinger's out that way. We were going to hook up when I was out in Jackson, and we didn't do that. But John came down this way and he stopped by. So we hung out a while, walked around, and went out to dinner. So that was nice.
Very cool.
So I've met Red. Who's Thiz? Do I know Thiz? Have I met Thiz?
I don't think Thiz has been to any conferences we've been to.
Oh, okay.
Don't believe so. Because he's in the middle of Idaho, so I don't know. I mean, OLF is still a trek away.
Did you say Idaho?
I think Thank thought.
Yeah.
To where he would have been closer to Northwest Linux Fest, but that's still a trek away.
Yeah. I actually, one of the Aegis gun cleaners in Idaho. Where are they? I'm looking for their product. I don't have it like in hand's reach.
North Carolina. That's right, North Carolina.
This is in North Carolina. Oh, okay.
No, he would be in North Carolina, so he would have been closer to the conference I'll never go to because they do it in August. Self.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk out the door, it's going to be like 98 degrees with like 80% humidity. I can't drink fast enough to replenish my liquids.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there are times in the summer I'm in my garage in the shade and I'm like doing this with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah,
drenched.
exactly. I can't do that. I'm Irish. I'm used to being in bars. You know what I mean? Not out in the heat.
Well, that's like what we talk about is, or Governor DeSantis, I didn't realize this until DeSantis started talking about it, is in the summer, Florida was, I don't think it was ever number one in per capita cases or deaths for COVID, but in the summer is when everybody's indoors in Florida.
Yes, exactly. Just
this
like
time
Arizona.
of year.
Yeah.
Everybody's outdoors, and we're like...
Right. COVID
49th or 50th right now for
exactly.
COVID cases or COVID deaths, one or the other.
Yeah, that was one of the things that some people also figured out really early. Outdoors is insanely safe. It is like ridiculously insanely safe. You have to be basically French kissing a person outdoors in order to catch it from them. Where indoors, if there's no good airflow, you know. And it's one of those things. Arizona said August was their worst time because no one wants to be outdoors.
Dor, can you don't have to read it out loud. Can you read Fiz's last comment? I want to watch your face.
I could have met Joel a few years ago. He was here.
Actually, last time I saw Joel, he was in Orlando, and we met for dinner. And Joel in person is actually a nice guy. But, oh my God.
He's a McLaughlin.
I want to chew my ears off when he's on the podcast.
He's a McLaughlin. Look, he'd happily go in your pockets and take your last pennies after you died and leave you on the side of the curb because he's a McLaughlin. That's what they do. They're the worst people that's ever existed.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, you're so funny on the whole McLaughlin thing.
Because I know them. I've seen them step over dead relatives in order to take the china out of the cupboard. Because they were entitled to it. McLaughlin.
I'll have to tell you a story, in fact, part of which came up today. But I won't tell you now.
Yeah. I'll just say, given the opportunity, you know how there's the guy panicking with sweat, and there's two buttons in front of him. If one of the buttons says "kill all McLaughlins," ain't no sweating. Ain't no sweating. That button is getting pressed instantaneously, without any hesitation. Good riddance. You know, the only thing we've been in this country for over 14 generations, and what have we contributed? We like founded the town called Flintstone in Maryland. Who the hell cares about that? You want to know the other worst thing we contributed to, Rich?
What's that?
Joe Biden.
Really?
Yep.
What do you mean?
His middle name is Robinette.
Oh,
He got that middle name from my great-great-grandfather. He's my
Jesus.
dad's second cousin.
Oh, Jesus.
So I really hate him. Give him the opportunity, I'd choke his ass out. Quick. And I know all the stories about him when he was in his 20s. So I know just how horrible of a person he is.
Oh, boy.
Just how horrible of a human being he is what I'll say. Just how disgustingly horrible.
It's tough for me to say this, and if any of you know me personally, political differences aside, it's elder abuse what they're doing to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is Jill Biden must have wanted to be president in the worst way.
Oh yeah, he did back with
No, Jill. I said Jill Biden
well.
must have wanted to be president in the worst way.
You know, she's more aware than he is. I'll give her that.
And again, political differences aside, if you're a Democrat, God bless you, there's good Democrats out there. I'm sure Democrats are about Republicans.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you have picked
anybody?
I'll tell you what.
Else.
Elizabeth Warren would have been a better pick. The math guy would have been a better pick. I would have been more scared, I don't know now, of Elizabeth Warren.
She's unique, is what I'll say about her.
Or Bernie Sanders, or somebody like that. I would have been.
You know the funniest thing about Bernie Sanders? NPR. You know NPR, right?
Yes. Bernie Sanders, a millionaire with 3 houses.
NPR did a poll at the last Bernie Sanders convention when he was running for president. Yeah. And they asked the Bernie supporters, how much more every paycheck would you be willing to give to these top 3 Bernie Sanders causes? What would you expect they would say, Rich?
0. I bet they all said 0.
95% of them said, I'm not giving you my money. We're taxing the rich people. You're not getting my money for these causes.
That's the problem.
Because
in
they
every
always
socialist
expect
society,
somebody else's money is going to fix it. Leave me alone. Not in my backyard. Yeah, I know.
Right. Right. In every socialist society, they always think the other guy is paying the bill.
Well, and
that guy thinks you're paying the bill.
Well, I know. I'll paraphrase Milton Friedman. Nobody spends somebody else's money.
I said this the other day.
Because it's true.
Well, all right. So Milton Friedman, I didn't realize. I said there are 3 ways to spend money. He said there's 4 ways. I misphrased it. So the first way and the most careful way is you spend your own money you earned.
Yeah.
The second way is you spend your money you earned on somebody else. So you actually do care about value and quality. The third way is you spend somebody else's money on you, where you only care about quality. You don't care how, like if the
price doesn't matter.
If the company, yes, the price doesn't matter. If the company's paying for me to have dinner,
Lamborghini, baby,
I'm getting, yes.
Yeah.
And the fourth way is you spend somebody else's money on somebody else.
Right. That,
so
to me,
you neither care about quality or cost.
The perfect example of that is public school food. You know how bad public school food is that they eat? And that's because somebody said, well, my kid ain't eating that. Let me just, they're going to get this, crap mashed potatoes, this disgusting pizza that, and we're going to call ketchup a vegetable while we're at it. You know what I mean? Because it isn't my kid that's eating it; it's somebody else's
It's
kid, and I'm
corn
not
syrup.
paying for it.
It's not a vegetable.
Yeah.
So
it's like bad.
it's high fructose corn syrup. So my daughter went to. All right, so we kind of delved into politics, but I'm going to be as politically correct as possible. My daughter voted for the first time this election. We had no idea who she was going to vote for. My wife and I are obviously not voting Democrat. My daughter, her middle school and her high school were magnet schools for the performing arts. They were all lefty nutniks. There were so many people transitioning, this thing, thatting, whatever gender thing other than normal could happen was absolutely going on everywhere. And so I think she was terrified that people would find out we were conservative.
Right.
She wouldn't even talk to us about it. So she ended up going to school at UF in Gainesville, and this is like the biggest shock to me. She's like, oh, it's so good here. There's so many people that are conservative and blah, blah. I'm like, what do you like conservatives? I think she was just terrified of even saying it.
Right.
Because she was around so many liberal nutniks.
Well, I mean, history dictates. Oh man, I want to say it was Adam Smith that said this. If you're a teenager and you don't vote liberal, there's something wrong.
Don't vote with your heart.
And if you're old, if you're a senior citizen and you vote liberal, what's wrong with you?
You're not voting with your head.
Right.
So
young people are typically more democratic.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. And I'm like, why do things have to cost money? And it's like, well, it's a supply and demand issue. I mean, obviously.
Right. I know, but that's not fair, Rich. That's not fair.
So my daughter would go to lunch and they would put in, and she eats apples in this, but you would have to at lunch take the apple, even if you didn't want it. And then there was a barrel you could put it in.
Right.
So we'd have to cross over the neutral zone onto the plate, and then whatever you did after that was okay.
Right. Well,
you couldn't say no to it.
Right. It's the same thing at my job. It's technically, if you put something in a trash can and you take it out, you're stealing from the state of Maryland, where if you just take it from the inventory, you're stealing from your agency. And there's literally like two different kinds of charges. A trash can in government terms is like hollow ground. It's like weird. So if I were to put it in a trash can, follow it to the dumpster, take it from the dumpster, it's just like taking it out of a trash can. But if I follow it to the dump, and when it goes into the dump, I take it out, there's no law infraction at all. Does that make any sense?
That's crazy. So I was doing this contract in Maryland, and
Maryland.
I'm sorry, Maryland. I'm Michigan. Michigan. I was doing this contract in Michigan for a power company, and somehow it was green to take. We had a recycle bin and a trash can, and somehow it was green to take them both from our desks because it eliminated the amount of. I don't know how that magic works.
Yeah.
But what it meant was there were twice as many bins,
Exactly.
like 55-gallon drums in the break room area that were always overflowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the trash stayed on your desktop, and then you brought it into the common area, and they were overflowing.
Yeah.
I'm certain there was zero efficiency in that.
Well, I mean, if Sopranos taught us anything...
They said it cut down waste.
Well, if the Sopranos taught us anything, it taught us that one of the most corrupt industries in the United States is trash. And I'll say now, my own personal experience, not only trash, but bus infrastructure, dump truck infrastructure are also incredibly corrupt because the drug dealers get good money and they literally buy fleets of like coach buses or literally dump trucks is, and then they lease them out to state government. But they do it in favors. You know, I'm going to deal drugs on this corner. You are going to get kickbacks, and you're going to lease my vehicles to take care of this. So we all make money. I know two guys in my neighborhood who grew up to be incredibly prosperous drug dealers in their 20s. Of course, they're dead now. And that was how they went from being just a high-level drug dealer to an actual, like, businessman with, like, you know, a $200,000 Benz. Because trash, waste removal, and buses are the most corrupt, easily corrupt things. And then, of course, only second close, car dealerships. But, you know. But yeah, I want to say in the state of Maryland, 78% of all people who are politicians or who have been politicians in the last 40 years came from owning a car dealership.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, the largest other percentage were people who were former judges.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow. Politics makes for strange bedfellows.
Oh, geez. I don't know if you look at Facebook. Oh, God, what is the guy's name? Why can't I think the guy's name off the... He used to do the T-shirts at OLF. What's his name?
Mordency.
Yeah.
Oh, great guy.
He has colon cancer.
Oh, no!
Yeah. I think he's on the mend from it.
There's one cancer guys don't want. That's the one. Wow, that sucks, man. He's a super nice guy, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, nice guy. So keep him in your prayers.
Yeah, I'll shoot him an email too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm halfway editing this show while we talk. Even though I should be in bed by now, because look, here's the thing, Rich. We had a huge, in air quote, software launch last weekend to where we're now, in air quote, officially done with the mainframe. Period. No more mainframe. It's still there, but we're not using it for what we're using it for. And we're using a low-code solution from a company no one's ever heard of, but is worth billions of dollars, I'm sure. So all this week, they said, because we had a big launch, of course, no launch is now solid. All launches are soft launches with warm software versions, and you have to hurry up and iterate when you launch. So they've been going crazy Monday and Tuesday and today. Mm-hmm. So all this week they want us there physically in person.
Oh geez.
I don't know why, but they do. So I've been getting in at 5 a.m. I've been waking up at 3:40.
Oh boy.
Out the door by 4:20, in the building by 4:50.
Because of traffic?
Partially because of that, partially because it's peaceful and quiet in there and I can get stuff done, and I hate people.
Yes.
And then at noon, I turn to my boss and says, I'm going to go home and log in for the last hour or hour and a half or whatever. Yeah, traffic, sure, whatever. It's because I hate people, and there's no reason for me to talk to people. I'm a software, in air quotes, engineer. I log into systems. I change software settings all day. That's all I do. To be there in person is, whatever. Mm-hmm. So hopefully now next week they're going to go back to allowing us to 2 days a week in person, 3 days a week telecommute. And I said that I'm looking for other work because I know now like 5 people, I actually know like 8 people who've got new jobs since the beginning of 2021, and all of them are remote.
Yeah.
If not full-time, literally like 90 days. And then one day you come in for a quick like eval, and then you're remote for 90 more days.
Wow.
That's 3 months.
So, I'm doing VMware Consulting again, and it used to be you'd go on site with the client, and it was all expenses paid. So you got whatever rate, name the hourly rate, and then expenses. And there's, of course, limitations to that. So I think you're only allowed $50 a day food, which So if the trick is if you stay at a hotel, like
Yeah.
some
Continental
hotels have
breakfast, baby.
breakfast. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so some breakfasts are like all starches and not carbs.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm all carbs and not
No
protein.
proteins. Yeah.
So a good hotel will have, bacon, eggs, something.
Right.
A crappy hotel has like frozen pancakes and you microwave them and you have syrup. So you could get by with like $0 on breakfast. Actually, one contract I did, they frequently had lunch
Hmm.
at the on site.
Nice.
So that was kind of nice. And then dinner, you could easily spend $50 on dinner, but if you were cheap, you could find. So, yeah, you would. But now, all of these places that you do VMware work, fill in the blank, whatever it may be, they don't expect you to go there.
Right.
So that is super cool. And they're paying a good rate for you to be at your desk.
Right. Yeah. My boss said, I think tomorrow, he's going to talk to his boss about if we can go back to the normal teleworking schedule, 3 days home, 2 days in the office. And I'm going to tell him very nicely, if I'm coming back 5 days a week, I'm getting a raise. To where he says, what? I'll say, in the last year, my car insurance went down. My gas costs went down. My toll costs went down. My clothes costs went down. My lunch costs went down. All those things went down. You want me to come back 5 days a week? That's costing me money. So you're going to either give me a raise or I'm going to keep working remote. Because dare I sound like a divorcee, I've grown accustomed.
Yes.
To having
and likewise, yeah. It's nice being remote. It's nice. The things, look, you spend an hour a day, if you're lucky, only an hour a day driving.
Oh, dude, I leave 5 a.m. and come home and it's still over an hour. To where if I were to do it at like 8:30, it would be an hour and a half one way, an hour and a half back. Because I can't afford to live close to work. There are 2 people I know who I work with who live close to work. The one said the cube that she's in is bigger than her kitchen at home. I can't live like that. Are you kidding? I would go nuts. I would literally go nuts. I'm pretty sure if our house was that small during COVID, me and my wife would have got a divorce. Because there's no way we could be that cramped for that long and not attempt to stab the other one in the throat. And I love her. But so did Jack Nicholson. Also loved olive oil when he was taking the axe to the door. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to hurt you. Yeah, and technically here's the thing. Red asked about me retiring. Technically, I can retire right now. Okay. But I'll have my full 30 years in 5 years from now. But in 5 years from now, I'm going to be 54 years old with 30 years service. You add those 2 numbers up, they don't equal 90. They equal 86 years. I think 84 years, which means I would have to then wait 6 years after retirement to collect my retirement. If your time served plus your age equal 90, you can collect retirement. So I have 5 years left till I hit 30, but if I stay to 33 years and then I'm 57 years old, the day I retire, the next day in air quote, I can collect retirement. Which right now would be, if I do that, would be just over $3,000 a month base. It would be less because I'm going to take the retirement to when I die, the wife still gets money.
Good.
So, So, yeah, I'm just literally just counting the days. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do my remaining tenure at the current agency amount is the way I'll put it. Because we're having a mass exodus, the great resignation, it's real. You know what I mean?
Really?
We're having some really good people leave my agency. Some of them are just retiring. Some of them are leaving for corporate jobs where they're literally getting paid twice as much money. Literally twice as much money. The hours are the same. They don't get no leave. They don't get any insurance, but twice as much money. And they're 100% remote. So it's like, are they making a bad decision? Hell no. The one guy said, look, I have one kid. I can't afford a second kid. I want to have more kids. So I'm getting a new job. Good for you, man. All right, Rich, I got to finish editing hop off
All right,
here.
man. Good night, Tor. Always good catching up with you. And guys in the audience, thanks for hanging around.
Yeah, we have to do one more show before the end of the year. I'll say absolutely, just because predictions. You know what I mean? Because I do think we're going to have an actual active year. It's going to be weird, is what I want to say. You know what I mean? But I do think we're going to see more stuff, is the way I'll put it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I say thank you, John. Thank you, Chatter. Thank you, Thiz. Thank you, Red. Thank you, John. All you guys for hanging out and for promoting the feed. We actually got one like, Rich, but I'm going to guess that was you.
Just one. Actually, I didn't click like.
Oh, then it was Brett.
Clicking it now.
Gotcha.
I get involved.
Yeah, and I keep thinking I really am like wanting to do like once a week, just sitting here for like a half an hour, showing off mini PC desktop OS and what you can do, but I don't know.
A wise man once said, make sure you got 3 of those in the can first.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. Good night.
Take it easy.